Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, coming to you from our temporary headquarters. Soon enough, we'll be in the new studio, and that'll be great! This is the Week 4 Waiver Wire Pickup Power Ranking Show, plus the Week 3 recap. And to break this all down, the new Monday guest, as he was last week, so I guess he's not exactly new anymore, but he's not exactly new to you either. But he is Tim Anderson!
Tim Anderson.
It's not my name.
Heard it was?
No, you didn't. You heard it from nobody.
No, I heard the massive cursing power of the Anda curse was in full effect yesterday.
I don't know what that even means.
Well, what happened to the Raiders? Give me an explanation. That wasn't you guaranteed they'd win because the Super Bowl Raiders are so good. Ha 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 ha!
West Coast team going east.
Oh, yeah.
In an interconference game they just didn't get up for.
That's going to be your explanation? Not super cursed?
No, it's not. No. It was a rough day. I lost my pro line by a point. A bunch of my picks went down the drain. My super lock didn't come close to hitting. It was a rough go for an exciting week of football.
You also cursed the poor San Diego Chargers and the Baltimore Ravens.
Well, first they're the Los Angeles Chargers.
Yeah, well, no one really wants to call them that.
Secondly, I didn't curse anybody.
It seemed like you cursed multiple people.
No, it's just things didn't work out. It was unfortunate.
So,
except one thing did work out.
Well, let's start with that then. Go into it.
I was so worried it was going to be an 0-16 season. I was legit frightened about it. So the fact that we won convincingly in a divisional game, I mean, here we were a week ago, last Monday, you got on your high horse and said, how are the Jets only 6-point dogs against the Dolphins? That doesn't make any sense.
It didn't. You agreed with me and then took the Dolphins.
I said on that Monday show, the line makes sense, even though I'm going to take Miami. I didn't think it was a slam dunk. I thought the Dolphins would win. We took the Dolphins to Super 7. I thought the Dolphins would win by 7 to 10 points. But I didn't think it was an outrageous line because it's an interdivisional game with a team going across the country to play early. The Jets played good football. McCown looked competent. He started to use his receivers. Powell got into the game for the first time. The defense awoke from a 2-week hibernation. Jets have one of the best defenses in football.
Whoa, let's calm down. What? Do they, though? But how do we know that? After trading away their best defensive player in the offseason.
They lost their best defensive player. They're not as good as they were.
But they're still top 5 defense, though. Don't worry about that.
No, they're not top 5 defense. They're a top 12 defense. And they showed it yesterday. We're going to see the next couple of weeks. They have relatively easy opponents. I think they've got a really good chance to win their next couple and be 3-2.
Oh my God! So you just went from worrying about going 0-16 to now they're going to be 3-2. They got Saxonville next week, pal. You're done for.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about Jacksonville.
Well, you're apparently never worried about Jacksonville, and you're going to reverse curse Jacksonville all the way to the playoffs.
Yeah, I think the Jags are going to get beaten by the Jets and then the Browns. They have Jets play the week after, so the Jets are sort of turning a corner, which. This is what they're going to do. They have to screw up their draft position somehow. So there's 3 or 4 wins. I said from the beginning this team had 3 to 4 wins on the plate. I was just concerned it would snowball in a very ugly way and they wouldn't get one. But they did. I'm excited about it. They could have won in week 1 against Buffalo. The Jets team is not a good team. It's a bad team. It is nowhere close to the worst team in the NFL. And I think we can sort of put a shovel of dirt on that whole theory after yesterday's game.
Because they won 1 game?
Yes, they won 1 game and they got blown out on the road, but then they played tight in Buffalo, too. Jumbo Jets.
Were you wearing your stupid Jumbo Jet hat?
I most certainly was.
Oh, God.
I love that hat.
So you were more insufferable than usual to be around.
I was very, very fired up.
Were you watching the game by yourself at home, or did you go out to go see it?
No, I watched this game by myself.
Yeah, because I would have assumed if you went anywhere to go watch it, that game probably wouldn't have been on.
No, it would not have been on. I had to watch it on DAZN and just wear my hat.
Wear your stupid hat?
It's a great hat.
You come. Bring your stupid hat. So what happened in that game anyway? I was only...
What happened?
Out of all the... there was, 8, 9 early games? Because there was only 3 later games because of the London game, but it just seemed like there were so many games packed into that early slate. All of them were pretty decent, by the way. It was the best early slate of the year by far. But, were they getting to the backfield of Jay Cutler? Was Jay Cutler just incompetent? How hurt was Ajayi? What's the deal?
Cutler couldn't get anything going deep. Ajayi got bottled up. They really got away from the run in that game. They only gave him 11 attempts. And
well, he got hurt at one point, didn't he?
Yes, he did. He got a shot sort of towards the man zone.
Oh, the man zone.
But if you look at the touches, like, no one else had more than 2. Like, Ajayi had 11, and then no one else had more than 2. Like, they just gave up on the run. McCown was incredibly efficient. The receivers, like, Parker still had a very fine game.
Well, he scored the touchdown with no time left to salvage his day.
But he had 8 catches, though. He had 8 catches. Like, he played fine.
Yeah, but how many of those came in, like, the last 3 minutes of the game? Because he wasn't doing anything forever.
Yeah, quite a few. The Jets have a decent defense. The Dolphins are going to play.
Oh, you just went from decent. You just went too decent from one of the best.
Yeah, well, top 12 is decent. They could be 11th or 12th. Like, that's a decent defense. It's a good team.
Not a good team.
The Dolphins defensively looked. Sort of the run defense continued to look good. No, I don't think teams are going to run on the Dolphins. The Jets certainly couldn't, and they tried. McCown played great. And McCown spread the ball out more this week than he usually does. He had a lot of people he targeted, and that was interesting to see. I mean, Robbie got the long one, but Curley got 5, Curse got 3, stupid Safarian Jenkins caught 5. Like,
yeah, he's a thing now. You should pick him up. He'd be the best player on your fantasy team.
Yeah, he's not a thing. But it was an ugly game to watch, but a game that the Jets defense played pretty decently. Cutler didn't look comfortable, and the best team won. Jumbo Jets.
Forte got hurt in that game, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Did toe injury or something. I don't care. He's an old man.
Yeah, no, I understand that. But do you think it's one of these injuries that's going to last, or do they just not bring him back in because they were up?
No, I think it probably will last.
Oh, good news. Good news for Bilal Powell.
Yeah, or E. McGuire. I don't know.
Elijah McGuire?
Yeah, I don't know.
You've just been calling him E. McGuire?
Yeah, well, he's so meaningless to me that I don't need to know his first name.
Oh, no, he is not meaningless because he comes in and steals these carries from potentially Bilal Powell.
Yeah, well, I'm not all that enthused about Bilal Powell still. I mean, I think he's a fine player, but we all thought he was going to be like an RB2 in fantasy, and I no longer believe that.
Yeah, I mean, if it's just him there and they can start passing to him again, I don't think any of the running backs had a catch yesterday. I guess they didn't need to because they weren't trailing in the game, but that was kind of surprising for this offense. I saw your boy Hackencutt was still a healthy scratch.
Yeah, well.
That ride might be over.
What ride? It never began.
But you were all about it. You were on the roller coaster already.
Yeah, but you know what?
You were saying things like, you'll see, he'll be great.
But if he never plays and never looks bad, then I can just shrug my shoulder and say, we'll never.
You feel like that one's a win? He was so good, he never got a crack?
I'm chalking it up as a push. We call it a draw.
No, I don't think we're going to go down that route. What other major takeaways did you have from week 3? How hilarious was the Cooper blocked field goal and then getting strip sacked and hitting the nuts with the ball?
Idiotic.
It was pretty good.
And then the Steelers are also idiots, and they gave away 3 points, and therefore, the game went to OT, so the Steelers don't know what they're doing, and they bat the ball legally out of the end zone.
Okay, and someone brought this theory up to me yesterday after Baltimore lost, and then Chicago was in the game, and then ended up beating the Steelers. Is the NFC or the AFC North, like, secret bad?
I don't think it's secret anymore. I think it's out in the open for all to see.
Yeah, but I mean, the Baltimore thing, that could end up being a 1-week mulligan. We don't know.
Sure, it could. We'll see. I got my doubts, but we'll see. It could just be a 1-week weird. They just didn't settle in London, and they got their doors blown off. I'm willing to accept that. Pittsburgh now has looked really bad in 2 road games. One they won, one they didn't. And the only win they have was a home game against a backup QB who started at the last minute. And they didn't, dominate. They won that game. They didn't blow them out. So, yeah, I mean, Pittsburgh doesn't look like a playoff team right now. Not at all.
Yeah, but the record would still have them as a playoff team. They're 2-1. I mean, if they're going to continue to get, it's almost like the Patriots right now. Like, the Patriots defense is in shambles.
Yeah,
yet,
the Patriots.
If they're going, when they get Hightower back, like, their defense should be better. And I feel like over the course of a season, they'll figure it out. It's like the Steelers on offense. Like, unless Ben is truly, like, decrepit at this point, like Bell, Brown, Bryant, they're going to get this figured out, and the offense is going to look a lot better. And the fact that they can still win these games when they're not playing well, and they can be 2-1 after 3 weeks and have yet to look really good in any one game. I mean, that's scary for the end of the year, isn't it?
Maybe if they figure it out, but particularly someone like Ben, is old.
So is Brady.
Get worse, not better.
Brady's old too. He's too old. Does that mean he can't win?
If the offensive line can't block for Brady, no, they're not a Super Bowl contender. If Ben doesn't get better, he's not like the Patriots and Steelers are fortunate they're in soft divisions. If they were in competitive divisions, I don't think either's a playoff team, but they're in soft divisions, so they are. And they play in the AFC, which is a god awful conference minus a couple of teams. So,
are we sure that the AFC is worse than the NFC?
I think at least at the top, yeah. Listen, I think we learned from Pittsburgh that they are a middling. On the road, they're not a good team. At home, they should be able to take care of business. But
we know about the Steelers on the road. Are the Bears kind of like secret good at home?
I think that, or they're an every other week team. We don't know yet.
I think they get waxed Thursday night in Green Bay, like just destroyed.
Yeah, I don't think they do because I think both teams. I think that game. What's the line? 7.5, something like that. I think I would.
I didn't look at the early lines. Yeah, I'm taking Green Bay, whatever it is. Like I think they win by 30 points.
I think I would take the Bears, but I wouldn't feel confident with it just because Green Bay hasn't looked very good either. I don't know. It's tough. They're a tough team to figure out. The Bears will be scrappy at home, though. I think, and they're a team that is not going to get much respect against the line at home, so we can keep taking them.
Yeah, it was surprising. I think me, you, and Feinberg all had that on our. How did you do in Super 7 anyway? I think I was 2-4. I have Dallas tonight.
Same, 2-4 going into tonight.
And
Look, for a while, I'm done with the Chargers. I'm done with the Eagles against the Eagles and Chargers have screwed me a couple of times already in this pool.
Well, we talked about the Eagles thing on Thursday's show. Just like
should have covered.
Sure, they should have covered, but at the same time, they should have lost the game.
Yeah, I mean, yes. They could have lost. The Eagles look actually like a pretty darn good team, I will say.
Do they?
They have one loss to the best team in the league on the road, and the rest, they have played pretty good football against Washington and then against New York, 2 divisional games.
So you've proclaimed Kansas City now 2 weeks in a row to be the best team after claiming they would start 9-1, bench Alex Smith, and Andy Reid would get fired. So they're really benefiting from
the. What am I supposed to do? Lie about what I'm seeing?
Well, they're very clearly benefiting from the reverse. Well, you called them the best team in football last week, and then said that the Chargers would beat them by double-digit points.
Well, just because I thought the Chargers in a season-on-the-line game at home would throw everything at them. They
actually did throw everything at them. At least Rivers did.
That's a team that's quit. You rarely see a team in September that's quit. That team has quit. I think that Lynn probably doesn't last after this year. I think he has to go.
After 3 games?
No, maybe they'll give him the season, but I mean, if he can't get that team turned around, fire him. He doesn't seem like he's got it.
So you're all in on Philadelphia, now you're all out on the Chargers. They play each other this week. What's the line in that game? Now that's spicy for me. Oh, Chargers favored by 1? Give me the Chargers if you're going to be on the Eagles.
Nothing to do with either of those teams.
Why? You just said Philly is good.
Yeah, but Philly has burned me now 2 weeks in a row in Super 7, but nothing to do with them.
Last week we talked about one of the big topics that we wanted to kind of discuss was, are the 2-0 Panthers any good? Are the 2-0 Ravens any good? And we kind of concluded that the 2-0 Panthers aren't good, yet I took them anyway, like an idiot. I thought the Saints were truly horrible, but
the Saints was one of our only 2 wins in the Super 7.
Yeah, I had the Panthers in the Super 7, and I actually got bailed out because Atlanta I had, and they should not have won.
No, they shouldn't. But then again, Detroit's a stupid team. It does stupid things, and stupid things happen to them.
But that one's not really their fault.
Sure it is. It's absolutely their fault. You should never, ever, ever, ever throw a pass short of the line to make in that situation. That is a terrible decision.
Unless you know the guy's going to get in, and he did get in.
He didn't get in, and
he did get in.
He didn't get in. He was short of the line to make.
No, he wasn't. The ball was over.
No, it wasn't over.
It was. You just didn't want to see my fantasy team win because you cursed me in the span of 5 minutes when Cohen scored a touchdown and Tate scored a touchdown. They both got taken off the board.
Oh, I don't care. But
it was a devastating way to end my early slate. You were playing
the team that I thought was the best in the league, but obviously that team has a lot of problems.
Well, they're all. Oh, see, now you say that, and they were already suffering, and now you put it on my team. Oh, your team's looking pretty good. Yeah, thanks. Killing me. Just keep your fucking comments to yourself about my team.
No.
I mean, I would say you could go curse your team. Your team couldn't possibly be worse. Somehow, you, like the Jets, you'll screw up tanking as well.
Oh, yeah. I'm already trying.
Have you won a game yet?
No, not even close. Although I could have actually won games against opponents the last 2 weeks. I just wasn't up against the right opponents.
Okay, so you didn't score the fewest amount of points in the league?
No, I haven't since week 1 when I had an embarrassing total. Yeah, I've actually been respectably bad.
Like how many points a week are you scoring now?
65, 70, which has been enough to win a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's not terrible. So, Carolina.
The Panthers are bad. Panthers are bad. if their offense can't get going, which is a shame because they're playing like a bottom 3 defense this week, but they're not going to be able to get anything done.
Who are they playing this week?
They're at New England. If they had a half decent offense, they would win the game because their defense, I think, is for the most part. I think their defense is good, but then New Orleans put up 34 on them at home, so I don't even know anymore. The Patriots will be laying way too many points, so the Panthers, there'll be value on the Panthers, I'm sure, but I don't know how they're going to get it done.
It is
8.5.
It's 8.5.
Yeah, probably.
I didn't even see that game. All right, 8.5 is the line.
Yeah. I mean that's you're paying that's a New England tax. That's every year, but this year New England team tax. But like they'll probably cover it still, even though I don't like that number.
No, I had Houston last week. You had the Patriots.
Yeah, I mean that's what can I tell you? I didn't. It's my fault for. I'm using past year's performance to evaluate that team, and I shouldn't do that. And now after I've got 3 weeks in, I can stop thinking about previous years.
Well, we talked a lot about some of the trap-type numbers in terms of spreads, at least. And a lot of that translated into actual outright upsets. Like, we looked at Denver, like, that game looks like a hilarious trap. The Washington game looked like a trap. The Jags game looked like a trap.
Cardinals are probably going to win by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, the Cardinals are going to win 48-0 somehow tonight, and I'm just going to be like, oh. But that was the one game that I was like, it's a trap, but I'm going to fall for it anyway, just because I still think that Dallas, in my mind, Dallas is not a bad team. Arizona really does seem like a bad team. And for whatever reason, Dallas got penalized for going into Denver and losing, and it turns out that Denver may be really good at home, not the best on the road.
Well, I mean, through 1 week on the road, yes. I mean, it's our fault for assuming that Trevor Siemian deserves any respect on the road.
It wasn't my fault. I had the Bills.
Yeah, I liked the Bills on the show, but the team took the Broncos. And I didn't hate it, but I didn't like it either. The Bills have played good. I mean, if Zay Jones can catch this, Bills team's 3-0. And if they can play good defense, the Bills can win the AFC East. I don't think they're going to. But if the Bills can play good defense, who the heck knows? Somebody has to be competitive else in the AFC East other than New England. And if it isn't Miami, maybe it can be the Bills.
So you're going to back off your stance of the over for Miami? You're giving up on Miami?
Well, they've only played 2 games. It's hard to know about them either. I'm just saying that the Bills, I thought, would be laughably bad, and through 3 weeks they haven't been.
I watched a ton of that game yesterday, and I still can't even figure out how the Bills are good.
Well, they play great defense.
They didn't play all that great a defense.
They played great defense 3 weeks in a row.
They generated a lot of turnovers yesterday. That was really good.
That's a part of defense.
I understand that, but I mean, you can't just bank on getting turnovers every week. Like they were allowing yardage. Denver was moving the ball.
They have a great test this week. They go to Atlanta to play the Falcons. If they can keep Atlanta under 25 points, then we'll know.
Do you think that happens?
Probably.
I don't think. I think that Atlanta scores more than 25.
Atlanta
was bad yesterday and put up 30.
Yeah, Atlanta was unlucky yesterday too.
Sure, but Matt Ryan threw 3 picks and they still scored 30 points.
2 of which weren't his fault. 2 of which were like wet off people's hands.
You're just a Matt Ryan apologist, aren't you?
No, but like 2 of them, like if you looked at DVOA, like they would not consider those interceptions.
Well, one of them got tipped off the line.
Yeah, like one got tipped off the line,
which is his fault, by the way. When balls get tipped at the line, like if we're gonna put it on Blake Bortles for throwing into a line and getting balls tipped and picked, we have to put it on Matt Ryan too.
Blake Bortles is terrible though.
He wasn't yesterday.
No, he wasn't yesterday.
And your boy Lewis was driving his Mercedes into the end zone, making you look foolish.
I like to think I'm in the top 1 percentile of NFL fans.
Well, let's scale that back a bit.
I think that's a fair point. Top 1% in terms of things I know about the NFL. I had no idea Mercedes Lewis was still around.
Well, see, that automatically disqualifies you from being in the top 1%.
And like everybody else watching that game, no one else knew Mercedes Lewis was still a thing.
That is not true.
No one knew that.
Not true.
Like, has there ever been a less useful 3 touchdown performance from a tight end?
No.
Like, no one had.
Well, no. People had him who played the primetime early slate on DK.
Okay, maybe that's fair enough.
Well, I mean, you have to start putting. There's only so many guys you can use.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Okay.
Although even in that game, I probably would have used Ben Koyak over Mercedes Lewis. But hey, here we are. Warren Sharp actually nailed that one on the head. If you go back to Sharp Football on Twitter, he kind of broke down how to exploit the Ravens defense, and he talked about how it's all through passing to the tight end. And he said it's going to be tough for the Jags. They've been so inefficient in throwing to their tight ends all year, but that is the way to beat the Ravens defense. And boom, that's what happened.
Fair enough.
All right, let's get to the power rankings. This is what I want to do now every single week. We'll try to rank our top 5 teams, and this is tough because
I had 4 teams I could rank with relative comfort. I fought forever to figure out a 5th.
I have 7 teams that are kind of in the mix. 8 teams, I guess, for me. I know. Number 1, I have Atlanta.
Yeah, okay. I have them 2.
And I have KC number 2.
And I have them 1.
Okay.
The reason is that Atlanta
They're
won
both 3-0?
They're both 3-0. KC over Atlanta because Atlanta's won 2 games at the one with their defense on the 1-yard line. So, like, if I had to split hairs, KC's been a tiny bit more impressive. KC really hasn't been in the balance the way Atlanta has. I'm not going to fight you hard on it because they're my number 2 team, and they're clearly the number 1 and 2 teams. But I think just because Atlanta's got a bit fortunate at the end of 2 games, I would lean on the road. I would lean towards KC.
I considered putting Minnesota 3.
Okay, they're 5th for me.
Like, once Bradford gets back, and I guess he visited Dr. Jimmy Andrews, and there's no structural damage in his knee, so I guess he's going to be fine. I know when he's going to be back, but, like, Keenum looked all right yesterday. What happened with Tampa?
Who knows? I mean, other than the fact that the Vikings have a really, really good defense, and I think they're a really good home team.
Yeah, but the defense didn't win them that game. Case Keenum throwing for almost 400 yards did.
Case Keenum did, and, well, that and Winston couldn't stop turning the ball over.
That's something he does, though.
He does, but Minnesota's a team that's sort of possessed to take advantage of that. And the only loss Minnesota has all season was on the road with a rookie at Pittsburgh, which is never an easy place to play. So I had Minnesota.
Case Keenum, not a rookie.
Or sorry, a backup. Sorry, a backup with no, I didn't mean rookie. A backup who started at the last second.
Yeah, I don't know.
So,
apparently, as it came out after the game, that half of the Bucs defense has the flu or something like that. I don't know if that's an excuse or if that's a reason or what's going on there.
Yeah, who knows? We had the Buccaneers in Super 7. That was rough.
Oh, did not have that one. I actually had Minnesota. I had a great week in picks. I was 8-10 through the first games. I don't think I got another one right.
Yeah, I had a rough week. I only had 5 right, I think.
Oh, well, here comes Dallas tonight to bail us out.
Yeah, let's hope.
Sorry, so those are my 1 and 2. Who are your entire top 5?
So I have Kansas City at 1, Atlanta at 2, Philadelphia at 3.
Philadelphia?
They have looked excellent. Listen, the first 2 is there's a cut, and then there's everybody else, right? Philadelphia has won two divisional games.
Philadelphia didn't even make my short list.
Yeah, Phillies played really good football. Their only loss is on the road to our number 1 or number 2 team, and that was a tight back. They threw a ball into the end zone to end the game to win. So that everything you would want out of them, you got. So KC 1, Atlanta 2, Philly 3, Detroit 4, Minnesota 5.
What happened to your Super Bowl Raiders?
They got and I'm basing this strictly on what I've seen through weeks. You cannot take a team that got waxed the way that the Raiders did last night. They lost by 17 on the scoreboard. They should have lost by 40 points in that game easily.
But they didn't.
That's how badly they played. So they cannot make a top 5 right now.
All right. Well, I mean, Oakland's in the mix for me. Denver's in the mix for me, a team you didn't mention.
In the mix. Denver's in that mix.
Tennessee is in the mix for me.
Yeah, Tennessee just missed the cut. Tennessee was at 6.
And, of course, Green Bay and New England are still in the mix for me as well.
No, neither of those teams are really considerable.
Well, these are power rankings. These are supposed to be who are the best teams, the teams that I think that are going to the Super Bowl and going to win. Those would be 2 of the favorites for me.
Now,
Vegas would agree with me, actually.
Until they figure out their problems,
until they figure out their problems, they're just going to continue to win 66% of their games. I
don't think they're credible Super Bowl contenders right now, based on what we've seen from these 3 games.
Yeah, but
in fact, they're almost.
I mean, based on what you're doing, why don't we just look at the fucking standings?
I mean, they're actually very similarly the same teams. Both have amazing quarterbacks that have no offensive lines and defenses are shaky. And I mean, if all Bill O'Brien had to do was go for it, and he had the game won.
I'm with you on that. I don't know how many people would be on our side about what he should have done, but he needed an inch to close out the game with a quarterback who can get you an inch. That's it. Not an issue.
You get an inch, the Patriots never touch the football. Game's over.
What are you playing to do here? You're playing to set up Brady. I mean, Brady made some they were in it. I mean, the defense was playing. I mean, they had given up a ton of points, but even on that final drive, despite giving up, it was the 3rd and 18, then the 3rd and 12. Like, they had Brady dead to rights twice, and he came through. Dead to rights,
and Brady threw a ball that should have been intercepted on the last play. Harrison broke it down last night that it was a terrible throw by Brady, but that the defense misread the situation and Cooks bailed him out with an amazing grab. Like, he threw up a duck to end the game that the Texans freaked out on. But still, you can't give them that opportunity. You can't do it. All you do is give the ball to your running back or to Watson. You get 2 inches. They never touch the ball. The game is over. Against one of the worst defenses in the NFL. You know, Cardano, I love Cardano, but he was yelling at me that that's the wrong call. Make him have to score 6. It's like, no. He said, because what happens if you don't and all Brady needs is 3 points? So, like, then you went out swinging. Then you go to the podium and say, I wanted to...
And I'm with you. This reeked of a decision from Bill O'Brien that said, I don't want to look like an idiot Monday morning.
Totally.
And now he looks like an idiot.
I'm serious. If I own the Texans, I would relieve him of his responsibilities today. I don't trust him anymore. I don't think he's trying to win. I'm dead serious. I think that was coaching mismanagement to such a degree, it's a fireable offense. And I don't usually like to call for people being fired. I think he deserves to lose his job. Well, the Texans should have won that game. They were the better team, and they let them off the hook. They had the game on their racket, and they let it go.
Well, I mean, for someone who doesn't like to call for people to lose their job, you're now calling for him to lose his job, Anthony Lynn to lose his job. Every time that Notre Dame doesn't get a first down, you claim that Brian Kelly should be fired.
Yeah, well, Brian Kelly should be fired.
Why? Aren't they undefeated?
No, they lost to Georgia.
Oh, that's too bad.
But Georgia looks really good. So Georgia.
Georgia must look really good. They beat Notre Dame.
If Notre Dame and Georgia keep winning, that'll be fine. Notre Dame's going to lose on a couple of weeks when SC comes to town, unfortunately.
God, I hope so. Will you stop cursing the Trojans, please?
What? They haven't lost a game.
Not yet. This is all setting up for something to happen in devastating fashion, a la you and the Falcons last year.
I got a good feeling about USC.
Now I don't. Now this makes me sad. Hopefully... Yeah, listen, if it turns out that they end up being Andercursed and they lose in heartbreaking fashion, I hope you end up with Darnell or whatever the hell his name is, and he sucks on the Jets. You deserve it. This is all on you.
That's sweet of you to say.
Anyway,
you didn't finish your ranks.
If anyone out there, I want to hear from you people on this. So in the YouTube comment section or on Twitter, at me or at Tim Andercust.
Tim Andercust.
That is not my Twitter account.
Oh, no, I heard it was your Twitter account.
No one does. It's at Tim Anderson87. I bring the funny. I am a professional list maker.
And that's awesome. Professional list maker. Anyway, if you guys have an opinion on this, because I'm really curious to see if people are torn on this, and don't try to do the retroactive, well, obviously it didn't work, and I know that sounds like what we're doing right now, but I mean, in the moment, I thought Bill O'Brien should have went for it.
In the moment.
I know you did, and you and I are both very much on the same page with this. I'd just be too terrified that Brady would come down and score a touchdown. It was like when, to kind of circle it back to, what was it, 2010, 2009, when Bill Belichick went for it 4th and 2. He called that stupid play where he threw to Kevin Falk, but they didn't get it. But he knew what was coming. If they punt to Manning, he's coming down and scoring. So what's the difference?
Yeah, that's right, and that's an even tougher call because it was 4th and 2 in your own end zone. In your own end of the field, not 4th and an inch in their side of the field. And Bill O'Brien was the offensive coordinator of the Patriots. He knows what Tom's capable of. Everybody does. It was just, I would be interested in someone really mounting a defense the other way because I don't understand.
Well, no, the defense the other way is you're only up by 2, and kicking the field goal, making it an easy field goal, makes them have to score a touchdown. Now, I would be better off with them just never touching the ball again, and if I had that opportunity, I would take it. But that's how my mind works. I mean, if it was me and I was an offensive coordinator, I'd just be trying to step on the throat all the time. You have a chance to beat the Patriots in New England. You should try to take that opportunity. No one expected you to win. You're double-digit underdogs. Just go for it.
Yeah.
It was like last year when no one believed in the Raiders, and the Raiders started getting some momentum, and Jack Del Rio was like, yeah, we'll go and win the game right now. Let's not go to overtime.
First game of the season against the Saints last year, went for the deuce to win. Set the tone for the whole year.
And I agree. I think that does set the tone, not only for the team, but for the players, too. Like, it's a lot of confidence to put in a rookie. And so what happens? You don't get it? Well, big deal. Maybe your defense can still win the game for you.
Yeah, Jack goes in there and says, that proves I believe in you. Bill O'Brien saying, I don't believe in you.
And with what? Just run a QB draw.
Yeah. Hard to understand.
I thought Watson looked okay in that game, by the way.
Patriots have looked terrible at home 2 games in a row. Of course, they won't be probably playing many home playoff games, so maybe it doesn't matter. But
they still have a chance to go 15-1.
They do, but that doesn't seem like a live option. They have teams like Atlanta and Oakland and Denver and Pittsburgh on the sched. There's 6 losses, 5-6 losses easy on their sched, right?
But you did pick them to win the division.
I did it like 11-5, and I still think they will. I mean, I think Buffalo's got a great defense. I think Miami's interesting, but they're not. The Patriots are very fortunate to be in the division they are. They should win that division. I don't think they're a good enough team to have a bye, but I think they're a division winner.
All right, so my power rankings: Atlanta, Kansas City. I'm going to actually stick with Oakland at number 3. Just weird game for them. And every team's going to have a bad game. Like, week 1, Atlanta had a bad game. They did win that game. They didn't play well, and they probably should have lost again. Okay, I was watching that game without sound, the Atlanta-Detroit game, and just kind of like monitoring, like watching it, and then like kind of keeping up to date on Twitter. What was the official ruling of why? Didn't they have a timeout left at the end of the game?
No, they didn't have a timeout.
Oh, was that just a glitch on the screen then?
I guess so, and because they changed that rule a couple of years ago, and it's a good rule change, that there's a 10-second runoff, because it would be unfair for a team whose player got tackled in the field of play to be able to run a play as if they had a timeout.
Yeah, but it also seems stupid that they didn't get a chance to go up to the ball either.
But they would never...
They could have got it. They had 10 seconds. It was, 9 seconds left on the clock? They had time to get up to the ball and run another play.
The rules have to be written in a cut and dried way, right?
Yeah, that's pretty... There should be some sort of limitation on when in the game this could happen. It seems so stupid that you can't...
It does seem stupid, but in the end, the real fault is with Matt Stafford. Don't throw a pass in the field of play. And in fact, on Sunday night, Tony Dungy, who knows about coaching, nailed him for that. He said, listen, there was never a reason to throw the ball in that position. It was a bad decision.
Listen,
it cost them the game.
Listen, I wouldn't start going to quote Tony Dungy. The guy seems catatonic on TV.
Yeah. He's also catatonic on SAS Wiki's front page.
Well, SAS Wiki doesn't exist anymore, unfortunately.
It comes around every year or so.
Hopefully it comes back up.
A couple of weeks every now and then.
But
Dungy's point is correct.
Tony Dungy is essentially a corpse on TV.
Yeah, but he's right about this. And the Lions are a dumb team. They make stupid mistakes. Gee, what a shock.
Yeah.
Dumb teams do dumb things. The Bengals start overtime, have to call timeout before the first snap. Like, some teams, year after year, just have a low football IQ. Other teams have a super high football IQ, like the Patriots or the Packers. Other teams, like the Bengals or the Lions or the Bears, are dumb, and they will never stop doing dumb things.
Okay. So, Atlanta, Kansas City, Oakland. I'll go with Denver. I think Denver's still pretty good. They've lost a game in Buffalo. They're 2-1. They're going to win this week, probably beat the Raiders at home, so I'm okay with them. I think that you put them on a neutral site, that Oakland probably wins, but in Denver, I kind of like Denver. And then I'll go...
You had Minnesota at 3.
No, I'm going to go with Minnesota at 5.
Okay.
That's close between them and Green Bay, though. I'm curious to see what happens when they play. And
at Green Bay, I expect the Packers to win. At Minnesota, I think Minnesota would win.
Well, let's put them on a neutral site. Who do you think wins?
With Bradford, I would take Minnesota. I think Green Bay has too many offensive line and defensive problems.
Well, they're getting healthier. Like, Collins will be back. Beluga will end up being healthy again. They'll be fine. Sure,
but I still like what Minnesota's... I mean, I like to start the year better. I liked what Minnesota's got as a team better than what the Packers have, despite Rodgers' amazingness.
All right, let's talk waiver wire. Waiver wire pickups for week 4. We'll start at running back, and the one thing that I noticed, because I always, and everyone can go to dkplaybook.com, check out the updated rankings as the week goes on. If more injuries are released, I'll swap up the rankings after the Monday night game, and then again Tuesday night before your waiver wire period closes, so you can have some updates on injuries and everything. The only thing that we know right now is Darren Sproles broke his arm, so Wendell Smallwood is the first of the real pickups, but when I looked at the actual percent owned, so anyone who is owned in less than 60% of leagues on either Yahoo, ESPN, or CBS can make the list. And number 1, 2, and 3 on this list are all guys that I assume are picked up on your league, but for whatever reason they're owned in less than 60% of leagues. It's Tariq Cohen, Buck Allen, and Chris Carson. Like, those guys should be owned, right?
Most certainly they should be owned.
Like, those are your 3 top waiver pickups from the last 3 weeks. Like, I don't know what people are doing.
Those 3, and of course Thompson, are the 4 guys you got to have in any situation.
Well, I figured Thompson would have been picked up already. I actually think that right now, It's a tough situation with Chris Thompson because in games where Washington is an underdog and they're going to have to pass a lot, like I don't think that he ever really gets written out of the script. But I mean, for right now, his touch per touchdown, he's basically Mark Boerichter at the moment. Like, this is going to calm down a little bit. And he's not one to average 7 catches a game. He's more of a 3 catch per game guy. And then Rob Kelly's going to be back healthy. I have number 5 in the power rankings. I think
last night, if you own P. Ryan, you should cut him. He's useless. And if you own Kelly, I could justify cutting him. I think Thompson's much better.
Never going to be the between the tackles guy, though. That's just not his role on this team. He's the pass catching back.
He looks so much better than anyone else they have, though.
Sure, but that's not the role he plays on this team. That'd be like, hey, Darren Sproles, you're getting 25 carries today.
So much better than Darren Sproles is.
I mean, yeah. Darren Sproles has a broken arm, so that's certainly the case at the moment.
That's not my point.
That should have been your point, because that really would have been a very accurate and good point. The thing with Thompson is he's going to get 5 to 8 carries a game at most. Like he's a slender guy. They don't want him to run between the tackles. It's the same reason that you don't see Theo Riddick get 15 carries a game. It's just, you can't put them up against 350-pound dudes and get them to run into them. They're better in space. They're better in the receiving game. And if Washington's going to be a severe underdog in games, then Thompson's going to be an every week start in a PPR league. Even in games where they are favored in PPR formats, he's going to be a low-end number 2, a flex type of guy. But he's going to disappoint in some spots. Like, I like him more as an injury fill-in, or if you play in a deeper league, that kind of thing. But he's not a guy I want to rely on every single week.
The Redskins are super big underdogs this week. You suspect that he should do well.
I would think so. I bet you in my rankings, I haven't done my running back rankings for the week yet, but I assume as massive underdogs.
How dare you?
Yeah, how dare I not have them done Monday morning when I don't even know who's playing who yet. Thompson, I'm going to guess 19, 20. It depends on somewhat of the status of Rob Kelly, because if Rob Kelly is back, he's going to get the goal line touches. And if they can, like they did against the Rams 2 weeks ago, they can he ran the ball well. If he continues to run the ball well, it's going to be less and less opportunity for Thompson. I like Thompson. I would take a chance on Wendell Smallwood this week over Chris Thompson on the waiver wire, because you're looking at a situation where you could find a guy that plays basically all the snaps. People are talking about Clement and people are talking about LeGarrette Blount because they both scored touchdowns. When Darren Sproles went out, Wendell Smallwood was the guy in the game. He played over 50% of the snaps. He got all the carries. He was even involved in the receiving game. He has a chance to be on the field for all 3 downs. Now, the problem with him is he's also going to be in a situation where he might not get the goal line carries, but I just don't think Thompson's ever going to get them unless they're passing near the goal line. Smallwood could come in and bang a little bit, but I guess that's kind of what Blunt is there for. For volume purposes, I like Wendell Smallwood more, and I think that if he plays well, he can keep the job and get the job to grow. That would be a chance I would want to take on that sort of upside. Like, I don't think that Chris Thompson is going to score a touchdown every 4 times he touches the ball.
Okay, I think all those points are fair. I think Thompson's a better player, but I think your point about the potentials for Smallwood to be on the field more often makes sense, because I don't think Jay Gruden knows what he's doing. So I think you're well put.
You think he should be fired too?
No, I don't think so. But he should be using Thompson more than he is. Thompson's
maybe you know what? The way that he's used Thompson so far this year has been pretty good.
But like his receivers, I mean, we saw Pryor's basically unstartable at this point. Doxson will be good, but he's for all intents and purposes a rookie, and Crowder's been a bit of a disappointment so far. So Thompson's their most exciting player.
Oh, no. Hey, Vern is their best player.
God.
He got a touchdown.
I got nothing against
Hey, Vern! I hope Jordan Reed sits again so I can pick him up and play him. So, in terms of snap count yesterday, and this is what I kind of worry about, that if he doesn't score a 70-yard touchdown, that P. Ryan ended up with 30 snaps in that game.
Yeah, P. Ryan's useless. Cut him.
Sure. Chris Thompson played 28 snaps, and then Mac Brown came and looked all right in garbage time and played 10 snaps. Like, that split is what Thompson's going to see every week, regardless of if it's Kelly. Like, put it this way, if P. Ryan got hurt last night, Mac Brown would have come in and run between the tackles, not Chris Thompson.
I agree with you.
And that capped upside is problematic. Like, if he was playing, like, and the reason I like Tariq Cohen a bit more is because he's playing at the same time as Jordan Howard. And he's.
Oh, yeah, I like Tariq Cohen more, too.
And he's for sure, and we even saw it yesterday. Like, yesterday, nothing was more infuriating than DeMarco Murray and Jordan Howard after, basically being dead all week. Be like, oh, yeah, no, they're fine. They're both going to get 25 carries. Like, come on. Nice.
DeMarco Murray still. I know DeMarco Murray had a good day statistically. He still doesn't look right.
Even on a
75
75-yard touchdown, it looked like he was limping.
I know. He got amazing, particularly from his fullback, who made two blocks on a play. DeMarcus Ray had a very good game, but I don't know. He looks so, compared to when you see Henry run the ball, DeMarco looks so much slower and more lumbering. He had a good day statistically. Bell had a good day statistically. The arrow's pointing down on both those guys, despite their points.
Well, but Bell was the best one. Bell had a terrible day and scored 22 fantasy points.
Yeah.
This is why that's why he's
Bell
the best.
Is not the best running back in the NFL.
Yeah, but that's why he's the best fantasy running back and the best fantasy player, because he sucks and scores 22 points.
Yeah. My new thing on Twitter is just to say whisper before I make a point. But whisper, Bell's not that good.
He's the best fantasy running back.
He won't be. He shouldn't be anyone's number one this week.
Who are they playing this week? Baltimore?
It doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, it really should matter. That's one thing. When people do rankings, they like to look at the matchups and see if someone has a good matchup or a bad matchup.
He's had soft matchups, and he doesn't do anything.
He scored 22 points yesterday. What do you want from him?
I don't know. For him not to look like he's...
You want him to score 50 points?
He doesn't look like he's trying.
Who cares? I don't care if he's trying. I don't care if he looks good. I care if he produces for my team, and he's producing for my team.
Okay. He shouldn't be anyone's number one. If you can trade him for Hunt, I said when I asked you last night, I still had that offer. Hunt for Bell, would you take it? I said in a heartbeat. Not close. At this point, Hunt is proven himself.
You're picking against Kansas City. Now you think that Hunt is the best running back in the league. If Hunt doesn't get that kind of trashy touchdown towards the end, he does nothing yesterday.
But it wasn't he made it happen.
Sure. On a team that quit, according to you.
From what we've seen over 3 weeks of play, Hunt is the best back in the NFL through 3 weeks. That can change, but we cannot deny what we have seen so far.
So it's going to be exactly so the first 3 weeks are indicative of what's going to happen the rest of the season.
Not indicative, but but it's not meaningless either. And Hunt continues to. That Chiefs team doesn't have a ton of playmakers. He's one of their 3 most important playmakers. Bell, I would rather Hunt than Bell the rest of the year. I definitely would.
I would rather Bell than Hunt. Like I said, Bell's not playing great and just generating points. Wait till he starts playing well.
Maybe he won't.
I would bank on Le'Veon Bell starting to play well. That would be me.
Okay.
You just don't like Le'Veon Bell.
No, I didn't like him to start the year.
You didn't like him because he smokes weed.
No,
seriously, it is why you don't like the Steelers.
He knows he's not going to be in Pittsburgh next year, and so I don't think he's giving 100%.
You can't, if you weren't giving 100% on the field, it would leave you more susceptible to injury. You understand this, right?
I agree, which is why I don't think he'll play the whole year.
All right.
I'm standing by my position. Bell is overrated. He's top 10 back. He's not number one.
He's a top 10 back? Like you said, he's not doing anything, and he's scoring all the points.
Yeah, he's had 1 good game, 2 bad games.
I mean, in his bad games, he still scored, 9 and 14 points?
I'd have to look it up. I don't know the exact number.
When you're getting 96% usage, that's what you want to have. So Cohen, Allen, Carson, Smallwood, Thompson. That is my top 5 at running back for the week for deeper leagues. Dante Foreman continues to... I thought Dante Foreman looked better than Lamar Miller in that game, although Lamar Miller's still the one playing all the time.
Yeah, we'll see how long that continues, though. If Foreman continues to play he was up against a terrible defense, but he still played great. So, yeah, he should be owned.
I'm curious to see how the split in the Arizona backfield goes tonight. If you play What's that?
We can't speak to it till we've seen it. You have Chris Johnson there at 7, but what
do I do? Leave him off the list?
No, but I'm not touching him till I see how he does tonight. If he looks great tonight, then that's a good spot for him, or he looks good. But if he looks old and sort of broken down, I don't want him. I think we don't know yet. That's my point.
Procytes at 8, Kamara at 9. Kamara continues to look like the best of the Saints running backs, despite the fact that Ingram actually played 31 snaps yesterday. So congratulations on a season high and still did nothing.
Yeah, what a shock.
Mark Ingram reeks. Kamara is the future there. AP played 13 snaps. In Seattle, it was Carson and it was Procytes, and Doug Baldwin got hurt, so that could mean more for Procytes in the passing game. Thomas Rawls played 1 snap and got 0 touches, and of course Eddie Lacy didn't do anything either. This is very clear. Carson is the guy between the tackles who's going to rush the ball. Well, he did have a receiving touchdown yesterday, which was very nice, but Procyte's actually going to be used in the passing game.
Agreed. Him and our main man, P. Rich, was talking him up last week. I'm still talking him up. Love him.
Well, you're going to have to like him a bit more now that Baldwin is probably going to be out this week.
P. Rich.
P. Rich. Here he comes. And then, P. Ryan I have at 10, and that's even kind of factoring in that he might be the starter again next week if Kelly's
Yeah, I
not
can
back.
understand why a person would start him if they were desperate, but he's not good, so don't worry about him.
Jamal Williams, if he's been dropped in your league, I think that he's someone to actively go and get because Montgomery is playing an inordinate amount of snaps, and this is now the second straight week that he's left briefly with an injury and then come back into the game. Like, it seems like they're running him into the ground.
Yeah.
Anything else I wanted to talk about?
You have Mike Tolbert there. You can just laugh about him for a few minutes.
Oh, man. If anyone didn't see it, you can check out my Twitter timeline at the PME. I put a video up of Tolbert's drop. It was pretty good. Lol there.
What a fool.
He had it. He was too wide open. Happens.
It does happen.
Who else? Orleans Darkwa got hurt.
Jamal Charles, 23. Denver seems to want to use him for whatever reason. They keep going to him a little bit.
Well, the only reason he got the touchdown yesterday because it came off the heels of a really long C.J. Anderson run. Then he took himself out to catch a breather, and then Charles came in and got a touchdown.
Oh, no, he's by no means a star. I think he is the handcuff back. But if I had to pick between him and, let's say, DeAndre Washington, I actually want Charles more right now. I think DeAndre's third in line there, whereas I feel like Charles...
See, I think last night kind of showed that Washington's probably the second guy in line.
I don't know. I still think Richard was the first guy out of the box after Lynch, was he not?
Yeah, he came in. He only played 6 snaps the entire game. Washington played 16.
Yeah, but the game was also out of hand, so it's hard to get. I'm just saying I don't have any confidence in Washington in the way that I think Charles will be given an opportunity.
Well, the big test is going to be, it's either going to be next week or the week after Devontae Booker is going to be back, and it'll be interesting to see how they use him in the mix. I think one of the reasons that they got Charles and they ended up keeping him on there, because remember, he was in like a roster bubble situation at the end of training camp, and then Booker got hurt, and then all of a sudden Charles was safe again. So if Booker comes back and he's fine, it could be Booker, not Charles, so I would have some hesitation.
Yeah, I think that's all well said.
Anyone else? Matt Forte got hurt, so Powell could actually be all right. Oh, Joe Mixon is the guy in Cincinnati now. That's good to see.
Well, we think so. We've only seen one game with this new offensive coordinator. If they
used a lot of Mixon, he looked by far the best.
He did, and I think Mixon's really good. Although Bernard played fine yesterday in limited snaps. Bernard.
Well, the snaps were 34 for Mixon, 14 for Hill, and 13 for Gio.
But Gio did make the most of his snaps.
Yeah. He was wide open near the end zone and got in.
Yeah, but I mean, that's something.
The final running back note I have is that there still is a chance that Ezekiel Elliott gets suspended after week 4.
There totally is.
After week 4. I think it's more likely not to happen than to happen. Overall, I would say that it's 80-20 that it won't happen to happen. That doesn't mean that if you have an empty roster spot that you shouldn't pick up. Darren McFadden's apparently hurt, and I don't know what's going on with him. I still think it would be him over Alfred Morris, though.
Yeah, I mean, I would incline to agree with you, but they keep Alfred Morris around for some reason. Obviously, they're not afraid to have him, and I think they would use him as well. I think they would sort of split. Morris is not a pass catcher, so I think Morris would do a lot of the grinding too. Who knows? But this is just pure speculation. I'm just throwing a dart here. I don't know which one of the two to own, unless I had unless I was in a deeper league and had an open spot. It's just not worth it for me.
I say, if you have an open spot, I don't care what league you're in. If you just have an empty bench spot, there's no harm in rostering Darren McFadden.
Sure, but there's just so many other guys I'd rather have. That's all.
But what would be the difference between having, let's say, you had a spot and you had Darren McFadden or, I don't know, James Conner on your team right now? And I like James Conner. I think he's one of the best handcuffs in the league. If it means I have to wait out 2 weeks to see what happens and just pray Lev Bell doesn't get hurt next week, then I think I would take that chance.
Okay, I guess.
All right, wide receivers. Again, nothing much changing from last week. J.J. Nelson, despite the hamstring problem, remains at number 1. Then it goes Marquise Lee, Devin Funches, Alan Hearns, Bruce Ellington. The Bruce of Ellington. He's back, catching touchdowns. Like one of my 2 good calls of week 3, and the rest were horrible. P. Rich at 7, Cooper Kupp at 8, Mohamed Sanu, and then Rashard Higgins, who was a big DFS disappointment. Yesterday, Paul Richardson gets the bump up. I don't know the extent of Doug Baldwin's groin injury. If he misses games, then Paul Rich ends up becoming a really nice start this week. Lockett actually becomes someone to look at as well against the Colts at home on Sunday night. But I don't know what the extent is going to be, and I don't think it's going to keep him out forever. So I think I would actually rather have Funches right now because Kelvin Benjamin ended up with a knee injury. Apparently it's not super serious, but without Olsen around, I mean, he had 7 targets last week. He had a bunch again this week. It looks like he's going to be involved in that offense.
Yeah, it's a good matchup too, so I'm fine with it.
Anyone like Marquise Lee just seems like no matter what the score is in Jacksonville, Marquise Lee is going to get his 7 to 10 targets a week. And if that's going to be the case, he runs short enough routes that he's going to get a lot of catches. They even threw him a jump ball at one point. He's a little dude.
Yeah, the touchdowns from Hearn sort of disguise the fact that I think Lee is the actual number one receiver there.
Lee is the number one receiver there. That's what I mean. That's why I have him ranked higher than Hearns.
Yeah, if you were just looking at pure stats, you might not think that, but he is.
Well, Hearns keeps getting these greasy touchdowns at the end of games.
That's what I mean, but that you don't know that when you just look at a stat sheet.
Well, I mean, you have to bench them both next week because they're going against the best defense in the league and the Jets.
No, they'll get a few points, but it's the running game. It's although he still hasn't looked good. It'll be Fournette who has troubles against the Jets, not the receivers.
Hey, Fournette's. I mean, Baltimore is a tough matchup, and you look good against them.
You look great. No. Scored a late touchdown in a blowout.
I mean, he scored a touchdown in 3 straight games. He continues to be involved in the passing game. The volume has been there every single week. I see nothing not to like about Fournette.
Well, if you're physically watching him play, he doesn't look overwhelming. He doesn't look the way like Zeke did when he came in as a rookie last year.
No, he's also not running behind the best offensive line in the league.
Just saying, you should take a little bit of trepidation when you look at him. I think the Jets could get him this week. So.
Do you still think the Jets? Are you actually going to super lock in the Jets this week, as you said you would? Or are you going to go back on your word?
I think they're home dogs getting more than 3 points. I think it's a good spot.
Are they getting more than 3 points?
Yeah, 3.5 last I looked.
Oh, Jags by 50.
Okay, well, I right now I'm certainly leaning towards the Jets. Yes.
Well, so now you're backpedaling off that. So you go from greatest defense to decent defense. Super lock is the Jets. Oh, now I don't know.
Fine. Unless something serious, someone gets hurt or something, I'm gonna super lock
the Jets. Who could
Jets.
possibly get hurt on the Jets that it would make a difference?
McCown.
Why? Then they would go to Tom Petty.
Yeah, that's a problem. He's a heartbreaker.
No, he's way better than Hackencust. You cracking yourself up with Tom Petty jokes?
Yes.
You're pretty hip. You're plugged into the scene.
I had the joke ready, but the waiting is the hardest part.
I don't know what the status of Randall Cobb is going to be on this short week. Obviously, he missed yesterday with the shoulder injury. They play Thursday night. So if that's the case, I think you can give Geronimo Allison a look in deeper leagues. If Cobb is back, I wouldn't, though.
Agree totally. I mean, you watch the end of that game. Rodgers, even after that ugly drop, just kept coming back to him. So he likes him. It's a thing.
Do you worry about Bruce Ellington, how great he is?
No, I'm not worried about him at all. I do like, going back to the well, I think you have Adam Humphries too low.
Okay. You need to calm down about Adam Humphries.
I can't help it. I think he's going to be a relevant player.
You almost kept him in our keeper league.
I know. I wish I had him.
Why? Because he had an okay game yesterday?
Hump Daddy.
Now listen, Hump Daddy never vomits, but I don't think he's someone you want to just roll out there every week. He's like a 14-team, deep PPR guy.
Well, that's kind of what league we're in.
Sure, but we're talking about the overall scope of the waiver wire here.
I'm just saying, if I look at him versus Higgins, who I never liked and still don't like, I think I'd rather him than Higgins.
I think I'd rather the potential for Higgins. Everyone kind of went...
He has potential to be bad, which he capitalized on. I don't think he has potential to be good.
I mean, he still ended up with, I think, 8 targets yesterday. So he's going
to get good.
What's that?
So good.
I mean, he was an excellent fade yesterday on DK after being one of the highest owned guys. But still, in that offense where they're always going to be down and throwing, obviously Kaiser looks at him. Why not? You think Kaiser's good.
No, Britt got back into gear yesterday because he was called out. Britt's the receiver you want to own there, not Higgins. No question about it.
Well, Britt's owned in 98% of leagues. You can't just go pick him up.
No, you can't.
And the only reason that you think that Britt is the guy to own is because he's on your team. One of the reasons your team is fucking terrible.
That has nothing to do with it.
Did you even play him yesterday?
Of course I did. I knew because I wanted to play him yesterday because he'd been called out, and I figured he gets one more opportunity, and he capitalized.
Who did you start as your receiving core yesterday?
Him and Marshall, who both had fine games in PPR.
You lipped Marshall.
I did. Marshall had not played well, but he played well yesterday.
Yeah, but on the show on Thursday, you were like, he's unstartable, and then you started him.
Yeah, well, I have no other options.
But you have Curse?
I played Curse as a flex.
Oh, my God.
What am I going to do? The only other receiver I have is our Darius Stewart.
Oh, my God. You played Charles Sims?
Yeah, well, Rex Burkhead was at the last minute, and I didn't have another running back. That was the only guy I could pick up.
What happened to Hot Fire Torrey Smith, your guy?
No. I also had he went to Jarek, but I didn't play him.
Man, your team is so bad.
Yeah, my team has a lot of problems.
For a team that was building for the future, like you have no future. You have Antonio Gates as your tight end.
Yeah, isn't that something?
Well, yesterday Antonio Gates, every time he would run one route more than 10 yards down the field, he had to take himself off.
Yeah, I think he's done starting my going back to Cameron Brate now.
Well, Brate got rocked when he caught that touchdown.
What am I supposed to do? My team has problems.
The move would have been draft really young guys. Maybe some of them pan out.
Yeah, well.
All right, let's talk tight ends.
All right.
Tight ends, interesting. There are three guys that I've identified that I think should be kind of just owned and started on your team. Ben Watson, Evan Ingram, and Eric Ebron. I think Jack Doyle is somewhat in that mix because he's getting a ton of targets. Brissett's kind of all over the place, but Luck should be back by week 6, and I think that he stands to gain a ton from Luck coming back just with his shorter routes and Luck liking to throw to the tight end, Eric Swoop not being there. I think that's a very high floor, so I would hold on to him. And then after that, you're kind of playing the week-by-week stuff. As we saw on Sunday morning, the Ravens got exploited by tight ends. Vance McDonald is still hurt, so for this week only, I think that Jesse James is an interesting streaming option against the Ravens. That's why he's high up on the list. I don't think he's anyone to really hold on to for the rest of the season. The only other one for me would be, I guess in super deep leagues, yeah, your boy Austin Seferian-Jenkins is probably going to get like 5 to 8 targets a week. That's not bad for super deep leagues where you can't pick up tight ends. But if Jordan Reed misses time, I would just play Vernon Davis. It seems like when Jordan Reed doesn't play, Vernon Davis is actually good.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm very glad you don't have Lewis anywhere near this list. I figured you might, and I'm glad you don't.
Why? Why would Lewis be on the list?
Because he had 3 touchdowns, so I figured he would be like a hot pickup. I'm glad you don't have him anywhere near there.
No one should pick up Mercedes Lewis.
Good. I'm glad you didn't give in to what I assumed would be sort of pressure from people.
I think people know by now. Like, sometimes random dudes have big games. Doesn't mean you need to go pick them up.
No, I agree with you. We are in violent agreement here.
This one's open to interpretation if you'd like. I know a lot of people will not like me ranking Jay Cutler number 1, but he's playing the Saints. At home against the Saints. Like, this is a good spot for him, right?
If there are good spots for him, yeah. I mean, who do we have here? I like Alex Smith better. I mean, through 3 weeks, if I had an NFL MVP vote, I think you have to vote for Alex Smith.
Are you just trying to now hype up the Chiefs so you can be
be
right on your original prediction that they'd be the worst team in the league?
I still have my reservations about this team, but based on 3 weeks of play, they've been better in every facet of the game than I could have possibly imagined. I think just against Washington in a game where I just think that there are passing yards to be had, despite what we saw on Sunday night. Smith's a decent play. Who else do I
go Cutler at New Orleans, Simeon at home against Oakland, Deshaun Watson against Tennessee. I just think that's ripe. After kind of seeing the Russell Wilson blueprint from yesterday, I think Watson can somewhat replicate that a little bit for fantasy purposes, especially if they fall behind in that game. I think that could open the door to some pretty easy fantasy points, especially on the ground. Smith and then Deshaun Kaiser against Cincy, and then Tyrod in Atlanta shouldn't be terrible either.
Shouldn't be terrible. I would also have Goff on your list against Dallas.
Gross.
I just think it's a game where Goff's looking very good.
Goff did look good on Thursday night.
He looked excellent on Thursday. Are you crazy? He looked great.
Sounds like you want to marry Jared Goff.
You know, he looked like he'd taken a real step forward, and they won the game. They put up 40 points twice now in 3 weeks. Yeah, Dallas is a much better team. However, I think that he has every potential, particularly since they love throwing it to Gurley. He can get a couple of passing touchdowns just by hitting Gurley up. Robert Woods looked like he's been developing a little bit. He looks like
Robert Woods developing. Isn't Robert Woods like 35 now? He was on the Bills for like 20 years.
It looks like he's becoming a meaningful receiver.
Well, he had a good game. He's basically Mercedes Lewis.
I'm kind of sold on this Rams team. I think
we know that.
When we were doing our top 5 list, like the Rams were in consideration for that fifth spot.
Because they almost gagged a game to the Niners, who you declared one of the worst teams in football.
In 3 games, they put up 40 points twice. No other team can claim that. So the Rams are really good. The Rams are clearly a playoff team in terms of their caliber. Doesn't mean they're going to get there, but they have caliber and talent to get them to the playoffs. And I think Dallas, coming off a short week, is not a terrible, and Goff coming off a super, like the mini bye, not a terrible spot.
And Dallas's defense is not very good. I'll reassess these ones because I think Simeon might be the safest play.
Yeah, I don't mind. I don't mind Simeon actually at all against the Raiders. That seems reasonable.
Was I right about how bad the Raiders' defense is?
The defense does not look great.
Well, it's not good. That's why. That's why it doesn't look great.
Even though they only gave up 27, they should have given up a lot more. Yeah, I mean, it was an awful game all around from the Raiders, which I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, but I won't forget about. Like, it's disconcerting.
All right, streaming defenses of the week. I have Green Bay Thursday night against Chicago. I like to exploit those. Thursday night home defenses tend to perform very, very well, especially against bad teams coming in and turnover-prone teams like Mike Glennon, who has not looked good on the road through one game. Not very good at all.
I think the Patriots would be my number one stream this week.
Really?
Panthers can't score.
Yeah, but the Patriots get no pass rush.
But the Panthers can't score.
Yeah, but I don't care if unless they get a shutout, which they probably won't because their defense isn't good, then it's useless.
Cam will make mistakes.
Did Cam make how many turnovers did Cam have yesterday?
I don't know.
One.
I'll effort that right now. Where are they here? Panthers.
Like, I don't care if the Panthers score 10 points. That does nothing really for me for fantasy defenses. They get no pass rush, so that's problematic.
Cam had 3 interceptions.
3 interceptions. Let's see then. Maybe the Patriots can take advantage. I think their defense looks so bad that they could give up 40.
And they also lost, and he also fumbled it twice, even though he didn't lose either fumble.
No,
he could have turned over 5 times yesterday.
Could have. Well, how do we know he didn't fumble it, get it back, and then throw a pick on the next play?
I'm just saying.
You don't
he had
know
2
that.
fumbles, neither were lost, and 3 interceptions.
Right, you can start the Patriots defense if you want. I feel like this Houston matchup was probably a better matchup. They were god awful in that.
Okay.
And you've just called out how bad their defense is for like the first 30 minutes of the show.
I have, but it's all about situations.
Okay. So I like Green Bay. I like Tennessee at Houston. I think that's fine. Tampa Bay at home against the Giants. People are going to be kind of off picking on the Giants. They're still not good. So Tampa Bay's defense will play better at home, I suspect. And then Arizona at home against San Francisco. People will be like, oh, man, San Francisco can put up 40 points. Let's pump the brakes a little bit on San Francisco. The Cardinals slow the game down a little bit. They can bring a bit more pressure, it seems, because the Rams' defense didn't look great.
No.
That's 2 weeks in a row. It has not looked good, by the way.
No. Concerning that the 49ers scored 39 points.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not good.
No, it's not. That is a problem.
That'll be a good Zeke game, too, next week. Just they haven't looked good against the run at all.
Yeah, it's actually a very interesting game. It's actually, in my opinion, the most interesting game on the board next week, despite the matchups.
That's because the Rams are your new favorite team.
No, I just think the Rams are very good, but Dallas is very, very good, too. And it'll be an interesting test for both teams.
Okay, let's get some potpourri here before we get out. You haven't seen Mother yet, but you're going to see it on Tuesday, you say?
That's the plan. I'm not looking forward to it.
I very much enjoyed my experience seeing Mother. I enjoyed the parts where people watched.
You sound like you're one of the 6 people that did.
No, I mean, put it this way: if the movie didn't have a reaction with people, it wouldn't be the most written about movie of the year so far. It's a very polarizing movie. It's a very visceral movie. I'm not even sure if I liked it or not, but it was an experience to go see, and it sticks with you for a while. So,
which is why I'm going to see it.
Yeah, I think it's whether you like it or not, and some people hate it, they despise it, and I understand why. But I don't know, I can't stop thinking about it, and that I don't want to spoil it for anyone, although it's probably been spoiled for people going through everything anyway, but the reason it got that F Cinema score is mainly because it's not as advertised. It's not the movie that it looks like. But the performances in it are pretty good. Like, you like Javier Bardem.
Javier Bardem is excellent. And, Jennifer Lawrence is excellent.
Ed Harris is excellent.
And, yeah, Ed Harris is really good.
I don't know how old Michelle Pfeiffer is. Still looks hot.
Yeah, it's a good act. And most of the movies that Aronofsky makes, I like. Like I said earlier, I like Requiem for a Dream. The Wrestler's a good movie. The Fighter is not as good of a movie as people think it is. Noah was a very good movie. Like, I kind of like his films. So I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt to go see the movie. But if it's as bad as people say it is, I won't be opposed to walking out either.
The Fighter is not an Aronofsky movie. It's David O. Russell.
He's involved in it.
He's a producer on it. It's a David O. Russell movie.
The Wrestler or the Fighter?
The Fighter.
He produced it. Okay, well, he still had his hand in it.
It's a David O. Russell movie.
Fine. That movie is not a good movie.
What, you didn't like The Fighter?
No, I did not like that movie.
Well, you just said you liked it when you thought he had done it.
I said I criticized it before I said it was okay.
Oh, so it's you didn't like it, but it's okay.
It's okay. Like, the wrestler is significantly better.
Yeah, I mean, his films are hard to watch. Like, his films are hard to watch in general. Like, I have Pi on DVD. Like, that's just a crazy movie, and this movie's crazy. So, if you like crazy movies, it's well worth going to see. It's going to end up being one of those movies that gets shown at, like, midnight at the end of months, like, twice a year in, like, weird, like, hipster theaters, and people will go see it every single time.
Yeah, people don't know this reference, but I think it's the perfect Oxford movie.
Well, of course, people won't know that reference. It's
But
a very
you know
specific reference. It's a very specific reference to where we're from, to a theater that's shutting down.
Yeah, but that's the type
It's
of
a
movie.
midnight movie. How about you
Yeah.
just say that?
Okay.
And that's what I think that it will evolve into. Like, some of the allegory is, just hit you over the head. Like, this is clearly what this is. Some of it's more subtle. You can interpret it in different ways, whether you want to look at religious aspects, artistic aspects. Like I said, it's a lot to think about. Whether you like it or not, I think is sort of irrelevant. It's about the impact that the movie makes on you, whether you really viscerally hate it or you're like, that makes me think about this. So I do think it's worth going to see.
Okay, well, I'm going to see it, but I have low expectations.
I will say that 40% of the people who were at the movie theater with me walked out. There was 10 people there, 4 walked out.
I can see that.
But I wouldn't walk out. I would watch the last 30 minutes because that's the crazy part of the movie.
Okay, well, I'll stick it through, but I'll whack it about the head if I don't like it.
Well, I know you're not going to like it. You've already convinced yourself that you don't like it.
No,
That's what you do with everything. You don't know anything about something. You hear public perception about it, and then you decide, well, if that person likes it, I can't like it, so now I'm going to go see it and just say I don't like it to justify that I don't like it. That's what you do.
No,
That's exactly what you do.
I'm willing to have an open mind.
No, you're not. Absolutely not. Put it this way. If this was a book, and it was trash, let's say, but it came out 400 years ago by some author that was very well respected, you'd think it was the greatest piece of work of all time. It doesn't matter to you.
Well, if it had persisted 400 years, it probably does have some literary value.
But we don't know if that's true or not. So are you saying that anything that we've heard of from 400 years ago is great?
No, that's not what I said.
It sounds like that's what you're saying.
Something persists, it's more likely than not to have some value. No, it feels like it feels like a movie that shouldn't be at everybody's movie theater, and yet is.
Why? What do you mean at everybody's movie
Like,
theater?
it should be tailored to like those midnight shows and the single theater cinemas, not at like every superplex.
Yeah, I think that the movie would have been better served and more well received. It's not a movie that the general public should have been exposed to. Do you know what I mean by that, though?
Yes, I do.
Like, there are certain people that like go out and like you're talking about, like when movies get released in like selected cities, or they only play at sort of the artsy.
Yeah,
theater.
like a Sundance movie, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, just in a limited review, like if they had done this the opposite way and it hadn't come out in like 2,200 theaters or 4,000 theaters, what the hell it was, and promoted like as a blockbuster movie, hey, here's Jennifer Lawrence and Javier Bardem and crazy shit's going on. If it'd come out in, let's say, 400 theaters to begin with, and people found the movie, and they're like, hey, this movie's nuts. And then people would be like, oh, it's nuts. I'm going to go into it knowing that. I think it would have been better received. But it's not what people are... They're not ready for what's going on in this movie.
All right, I'm willing to...
But it's not objectively bad. Like
it's good filmmaking, but bad storytelling?
I don't even know if it's bad storytelling. It's somewhat confusing storytelling from time to time, and sometimes it's a bit over the head and a bit obvious, like I mentioned, but like the filmmaking is... Compared to other movies that it's like the F cinema score that it's going up against, like Lindsay Lohan movies and garbage like that, like, this is a very well-made movie. That's very clear.
Okay.
Just like
Is it sort of a movie you'd watch twice?
I probably will watch it again, yeah, eventually. I still need to seep in first. It's a lot to take in.
Well, as you know, because Rotten Tomatoes is ruining all movies, I wonder what its review is.
I think it's like 65%. Like, critics like it. I think critics like the audacity of it.
Yeah, 67%. Well, that's not too bad.
No, but again, this is a movie that's more designed for critics than the actual movie going public, I think.
Well, New York Observer's critic says, quote, I hesitate to label it worst movie of the year. When
Century. Isn't that Rex Reed?
Better.
Is that Rex Reed who said it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Well, Rex Reed's what, 90?
Well, that's taking a hatchet to it.
Yeah, but that is the sort of... I mean, people are gonna feel that way, and I understand why they're gonna feel that way. It's just I don't know. It creates that sort of polarizing mentality, like when you see it. Like, you're gonna have an opinion on the movie, whether you liked it, whether you didn't like it. That might be a bit blurred because there are parts you will like, and there are parts that are really stupid that you won't like, but it will stick with you.
Okay.
Almost like when we talked about Twin Peaks, how I always felt that Twin Peaks was more about mood and the sort of sense that it created while you were watching it. You can never look away. It makes everyone feel a completely different way, and that is sort of the point of it. It's not really about the story. It's not anything about that. It's about the feelings that you get while you watch it. This movie is very much in that same way, I feel.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, what else do I have? Oh, you don't think the new Blade Runner looks good, despite the fact that you haven't seen it?
No, it looks awful.
How do you think it looks awful?
Like the ads, just the trailers that they have look like that one scene where he's talking to the large woman that's computer animated. That looks so bad.
See, I disagree. I think that it looks really good, and I think it's in the right hands of the right director. I mean, if Ridley Scott was available, then that would have been great. But I think Denis Villeneuve is fine, and he is one of the most interesting visual directors that's going right now. So I think that he's sort of the perfect person to at least take a crack at this. Like they're not skimping on the right talent to try to make this good, and I like that.
I guess my chief concern is that Blade Runner is one of the best made physically to look at movies I've ever seen. I love Blade Runner. And so for this movie to not be a profound disappointment to me, it has to be at least 80% of what the original is. Harrison Ford is 1,000 years old. I have very little faith he's going to be able to pull off a good performance in this movie.
He's not the star of the movie, though.
No, Jared Leto with his fake blinding contacts that's going to be incredibly frustrating.
Ryan Gosling's the star of this. Ryan Gosling's good. He's in your favorite movie of all time, La La Land. Also, most Anderkirst movie of all time.
Ryan Gosling's not a good actor. I mean, people think I don't know why he keeps getting good parts. I don't think he's very good at acting. I don't know. I want it to be good. I am definitely going to see it, but I look at the trailer and go, oh boy, this could be real bad.
Well, as we just talked about with a movie called Mother, that if you watched the trailer, you wouldn't even know what the movie was about. So I'm basing your... You see, now you've already have it in your mind that Blade Runner's not going to be good, so you're going to go see it and not like it because that's the first opinion that you had. It's like when you heard that Dunkirk got talked up of being, oh, this is one of the best war movies of all time, and then you saw it and were like, oh, it's the best Christopher Nolan movie ever, it's the best war movie ever. Don't think it was.
It was.
No,
and I'm
it
not
wasn't.
that suggestible.
You are the most suggestible because you don't want to have a real opinion on it.
That's not true. I want Blade Runner 2042 to be good. And if I go there and it's better than I thought, I'll be delighted. 2049, sorry, yeah. I want it to be good. I just don't think it's going to be. I mean, the fact that it took this long to make this movie tells me that there was probably some script problems as well.
No, I think the fact that it took this long to make this movie means that they were waiting for the right people to actually make it. And I think that they have a capable director, a good director, and one that's perfectly suited to make this movie.
I hope you're right, but I'm not so sure.
Okay, final thing. I was watching this on the news, and then I did no more looking into it. And I haven't brought this up with you. I just assumed you would know about it. On the news, after golf ended the other day, there was this live hit from Berlin, where I just was actually, that had the question, is the far right making a move in this election? I heard the terms far right, Germany, and I got a bit terrified. Do you know anything about this election? Is Merkel going down?
No, the election was yesterday.
Oh, so she didn't go down.
No, Merkel ended up winning a plurality of the seats.
Okay.
Her party got 34% and 240 seats. The left-wing party, sort of like the Labour Party or the they're far more far left than the Canadian Liberals would be or the American Democrats would be. Although sometimes that's hard to tell with the American Democrats these days. They're like the Labour Party in Britain. They got 20% of the vote and about 150 seats. The far right or the right-wing party finished third with 12%. Now,
is there a difference, in how many? If people don't know, it's not a presidential system; it's a parliamentary system, like we have in Canada, not in the States. Is there sort of a generic conservative right-wing party, and then there's a new far right-wing party, or is it the same kind of thing?
Mrs. Merkel's party, the Conservative Democrats, that's the Conservative Unionists.
Okay.
That's the sort of center-right part.
Okay.
Whereas the AFD is the sort of the far right party, the alternative for Germany. They're like more populist and right wing. Now Merkel doesn't have a majority of seats, so she will need some help in order to govern. But I suspect in the past the SDP have helped out, or other party. I don't think she'll form a formal coalition with the AFD. So they finished third. So I mean that was some progress for that party. But Merkel is looking like she will remain in office.
What does an extreme far-right party in Germany stand for? Because I saw these when I was in Berlin and in Munich. I saw the election signs all around, and some of them were, I don't know, a bit racy, I'll say. Some of these campaign signs.
There's certainly on social issues, they're a traditional conservative party, and there are some parts that are like opposed to sort of aspects of modern feminism. They're a nationalist party. They believe in Germany and sort of like the role Germany has. They explicitly deny climate change, for example. They want mandatory conscription. So, I mean, they definitely are. They have some trouble. They're an explicitly anti-Islamic party and anti-immigration. And of course, part of their appeal, if you would, came from the backlash of Mrs. Merkel letting in over 1 million refugees. And of course, that was always going to have a counter reaction if you let people in.
But since the end of World War II, hasn't Germany had basically the most open immigration policy of any country in the world?
Amongst the most open for a reason, but 1 million people at one shot is a real shock to one's system. Imagine, so the equivalent for Canada would be, imagine if Canada allowed in 200,000 refugees overnight. That, would have a real effect, except that Germany is a considerably smaller place. So the AFD they finished third. And of course, I think their party leader quit or something yesterday because they didn't quite do as well as I think they wanted to.
Okay. I was interested to see what had happened with all that. So I thought I'd check in. I figured you'd be on top of it.
Yeah, and Merkel is, believe it or not, Merkel's been around the longest of any of the major leaders. Because Putin had that interregnum where he wasn't president. So Merkel's like of the G7 leaders, she's been in power the longest of any of them by a few years now.
Well, when was she first elected?
2005.
Oh wow, it's quite a run.
It is. It's a very long run. So she is the senior statesman or stateswoman, I suppose you could say, of the G7, G8, and it's good. I guess it's good for the world that she remains in power. Certainly better. You need someone steady at the till. The EU is about to go through some real turmoil once the United Kingdom leaves, and so you need somebody there, sort of manning the ship of state.
Well, I mean, as we know with the EU, you need to have those regulations on toothbrushes, or how could people live?
Well, that's it. Unless the government has mounds of butter and milk stored in their various buildings that you're not allowed to buy and have to go to waste, how could people possibly? It's all a part of subsidiarity and the acquis communautaire.
All right, that'll do it on the Pat Mayo Experience. Hopefully you got your geopolitical views in, and now you know a little bit more. Who knows? Or you just don't care and you've already tuned out. Anyway, I'm Pat Mayo. That was Tim Anderson.
Tim Anderson.
Not my name.
Heard it was your name.
You didn't. I'm at Tim Anderson 87. I am Twitter's best account.
Remember to give the episode a like, tell a friend, do all that, and subscribe to the Pat Mayo Experience on the Draftkings YouTube channel or on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or Audio Boom under the Pat Mayo Experience. Check out all my work up on dkplaybook.com, and there'll be plenty more shows coming down the pike for you this week to cover Week 4. I'm Pat Mayo. Good luck. I'll see you next time.